Hi guys, Gary Box here. So I wanted to talk to you about how I set up and do remote sales viewings. This is really important right now because we're shut down as well. I got a lot of sessions in before I had to shut down, but not their sales sessions. So right now I'm doing sales sessions remotely. I just had a senior guy and had a $4,400 order. I didn't have to see anybody face to face. They didn't have to come to the studio. Now, it does help if you show them the products ahead of time in anticipation of this, but you can do it without. So I'm going to use my sales software, which is ProSelect here. And in ProSelect, I have all the images imported and ready to go for a session. I have their room view image ready to go as well. So all this is prepped and good to go whenever, before I do anything. Then I'm going to go into Zoom. I'm going to open the Zoom app, and Zoom is zoom.us. It is a free app, and you don't have to pay for it. You can do meetings, so you'll have to install an app. First of all, I'm on a MacBook. And I'm going to say new meeting. Now, whenever I do new meeting, I want to join with computer audio. And so there's me. Now I can click down here on invite in the Zoom app. And here in the Zoom app, you can invite via email, or you can just copy the URL and send it to somebody. So I've got Fonzie is going to help us out here and pretend to be a parent. So I'm going to go and I'm just going to I'm going to Facebook message Fonzie a link here real quickly. Okay. And so as soon as he gets the link, he will log on, and that would be like the parents. So, oh, there he is. Hey, Fonzie, how are you, man?
Hey, Gary, how's it going?
It's going good. Okay, so you're going to play the role kind of a parent here, and most of the time, if it's a senior session, I would have the senior and the parent, looking at their desktop or a laptop. I recommend that they use a desktop or a laptop instead of a phone because they can't really see multiple images on a small phone. So it's not that hard to work Zoom. And now once we have that, I can talk to him and I start my sales presentation. And at this point, he's just seeing me. And I tell him, it's like, we have a lot of really great images here. In fact, we're going to need to narrow them down. So I kind of work like a funnel. We're going to start with a lot of images. Then we're going to narrow out the ones that you don't like. And then we're going to hone in on the ones that are your most favorites. And then we can talk about what individual items you're needing. So once I have them all prepped and ready, I will go down here and I can click on share screen right here. Now, whenever I click on share screen, I can share my whole desktop or any app that's going, or I can just choose to share ProSelect with them. So I'm going to click share, and now Fonzie should be seeing my ProSelect. And now, Fonzie, you should see me and probably you in a little window, a little box.
Yes.
Okay, so if that covers up something that you want to see, you can just click on that box and move it around, okay? So it actually works better if you kind of go to the bottom usually. So I always tell them, it's like, so the first run through, I'm going to do a slideshow of everything. Then we'll go back through the second and kind of do like a yes, no, and maybe and narrow down some duplicates. So I'll start the slideshow with them. I don't typically do music on my slideshow because I'm usually talking as we go along, and I'll make encouraging comments, and it's like, oh my God, I loved this series or whatever as we're going. I often have just some soft background music playing, and I explain to them, it's like, now most of these are not retouched, they're straight out of camera, and I'll go back through and retouch everything that you want. I did do a couple of my favorites so you can get an idea of what they look like. And this is an actual session here, so there's going to be, some okay ones and some great ones in here. I don't say that to them. I'm saying that to you guys. So we'll go through and share, let them see all the images. Yeah, I'll go shoot in the middle of the street. I don't care. They'll drive around me.
Yeah. They're gonna go through you or they'll go around you.
So we started in the studio and then we went to the outdoor studio, which is where we are now. So she did 2 locations. Picture with sister.
You're pretty good, this Gary.
I've done it once or twice.
You want to think about teaching some classes?
I'm nowhere near the best photographer, but I do okay. Okay, so once we're done, I tell them it's like, okay, so I told you we had a lot of good ones. So what we want to do now is we kind of want to go yes, no, and maybe. And I will typically pull up 2 that are pretty similar. And if I control click on the second one or command click on a Mac, I can select 2 or 3 images. And then if I double click, it will open both of them for me. And I just simply ask them, which one do you like better if they're really close? And it makes it an easy choice to just decide between 2. So instead of making, a great big decision, it's a lot of little micro decisions whenever I sell. So okay, Dad, which one do you like better? Right or left?
Right.
The right one? Okay, so I click on the right one in ProSelect. Now, if you see in ProSelect up here, I have a smiley face, a medium face, and a sad face. This is your yes, no, and maybe. So if I hit the number 1, it will instantly send it to the yes tab. If I hit the number 2, it will stay as a maybe. If I hit the number 3, it will turn into a no. So I'm going to click on the yes, and I'm going to hit the number 1, and then I can click 3, and that will send the other one to the no. And then it's like, okay, I've got 2 more. These are both a horizontal, but they're different enough that you can keep both of them, or you can pick your favorite one. Which would you like?
Keep them both.
Keep them both. Okay, so I'm going to click on 1. I'm going to say 1 and 1. Okay, now I've got 3 of these. They're all beautiful. So tell me which ones are your favorite out of these.
Let's keep 1 and 3.
Okay, 1 and 3. So if I get rid of that one in the middle, I can hit 3 and it's gone, and then 1 and 1. Okay, we got 2 standing ones. Okay, these 2 are too much alike, so we need to cut one of them out.
Let's keep 1.
Which one?
1.
Keep the 1? Okay. All right. So we're going to go through and basically do this with all of them. I'm not going to go all the way through the session because you guys, that's long and boring. So, okay, here we've got these. Tell me what you're thinking. I'm kind of liking the one looking off to the side, and then the booty shot is kind of cute too. So I am not afraid to make recommendations as I go and steer people in the way that I want them. So I just tell them exactly what I want to do, and 4 out of 5 times they're going to go with exactly what I recommend. So, okay, playing with the hair or not?
Playing with the hair.
Playing with the hair, okay. All right. Just one like this, but it's adorable. And then I've got a couple that are closer up. They're different enough you can keep both of them, or you can pick whichever one is your favorite.
Keep both.
Okay? So I can keep both of them. So we're going to go through basically her entire all of her outfits just like that until we have our no file. Now, if you put 2 images up at a time and you tell them to pick one, you are miraculously going to be at 50% roughly on your editing. So I usually tell them that, okay, we did really good. We have 38 no's and 42 yeses. So I like to cut it in half. So that's ideal. So once we get them all in here, now I'm going to look at all of them together. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put all of these as move them all into the yes pile for the moment. So we're working. Okay, we're going to say those are all yeses. So, all right, we have a lot of them. Now, after I've done that initial yes, no, and maybe and gotten rid of some of them, I can survey this and look, and it's like, okay, so the next thing we need to do is look for some that are similar that we probably want to get rid of. Like we have two of this one. So which one do you like better? The right one?
The one on the left.
Left one. Okay. So I'm going to take the right one and I'm going to demote it down to a maybe by hitting 2. And then we'll go back and look at all of them again. So once we have it narrowed down to what our most favorite poses are, the first thing I always sell are wall portraits. So I typically will tell them, okay, the first thing we're gonna look at is something for Mama's wall, and I'll tell my senior, it's like this is what she's gonna look at when you're gone away to college next year. So her opinion means more on this than yours does. Now the second thing we look at is the book, and your book is kind of your story, so your opinion matters more there. Does that make sense? And the seniors always they get that, and so you're laying a groundwork at the very beginning on who's gonna decide for what. So I tell Mama, it's like, okay, so out of all of these, we've already gone through them twice, so she has a good idea of which are her most favorites. I tell them, all right, I want you to pick your top 5 or 6 that you might want to put on your wall. So, Fonzie, pick a few of them that you think would be top wall favorites.
Okay. How do I pick those numbers there? I can't see the numbers.
You can't see the number? Okay. So in ProSelect, if I hit the N key, it will put numbers on them. Or what I can do is I can actually select all of them and double click, and it will make them a little bit bigger.
That's good. I like that.
Okay?
How about number 5, number 41, number 28, number 49, and number 19?
Okay. 41. What else were there?
28. I'm sorry, 48. I'm sorry, 49 and 19.
49 or 48?
49.
Okay. And 18?
19.
19. Okay, so once we talk Mom into, and like I say, I like it to be about, and actually we cut a few of them off there, so I'm going to add a couple of extras in here.
Yeah, 74 is good.
La 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 la.
77.
All right, 77. Okay, all right, that should be good. Okay, so now after I get about 5 or 6 that are Mama's most favorites, now I go to their room view. I have them send in a room view, and if they do send in their room view images, they get 5% off of their total order. So there's good incentive to do that. And I have a pretty good number that do. If they do not, they're going to see it in a room anyway. I save a lot of rooms from other clients that might be relative and look like homes here, and we can use those instead. So I'm going to take those and I'm going to drag them in, and now this was already in here before, so it came in small. Normally they come in as about a 30 by 40, and is how I have my ProSelect set up. So these are 30 by 40s on that wall. And I asked Mom, I said, okay, now some people will do a single larger portrait, or some people will do a grouping of 3 smaller ones, so you get a little more variety. Which is more your style? And you see, I'm selling there. I'm asking, do you want one larger one or a grouping of 3 smaller ones? Those are the choices that I am giving them. And it's really about 50-50 on doing a single portrait or a grouping of 3. So I literally sell half of my seniors 3 wall portraits. The senior boy I just did bought 5. So a grouping of 3, one for another place and one for grandma. So now that we have these in here, we can start moving them around and sizing them. Whenever they come in, I'll typically say something, okay, that's probably a little bit big. Now I can click on one, and I can, using my up and down arrow keys, I can actually size it to what looks really nice on their wall. So I might do something like this. This is really pretty, and then we could do, and I'm not afraid to steer the mom into which way I want her to do. So what if we did something like 1, 2, And, well, I'm going to go pull one of these balloon images in here too. Or basketball. We'll use that one. Okay, so that looks amazing right there. And so you can move these around, and we get a presentation that Mama likes that's going. And it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, that looks really good. And so it's like, okay, great. We got that. You can actually show frames in ProSelect. I do not sell my frames in ProSelect. Sorry, Ron. But I can put a frame on them so they get the idea of a visual on a frame. So I can go bigger. But I'll give them a visual of a frame, but I actually don't like to sell the frame at the sales session. If Mama has a $2,000 budget, that women and budgets apply to today and today only. It doesn't count the session fee that you paid a month ago. It doesn't count grad announcements that are further down the line. And so, and if you sell the frame separately, that doesn't eat into that. So I would rather sell $2,000 in higher margin prints today than to sell $1,600 in higher margin prints and a $400 in lower margin frame. So instead, my goal is to sell $1,600 or $2,000 in high margin prints today, and then when they come in, we'll pick out frames for them at that time. I explained to them, it's like, it's actually easier to actually look when the prints are done. You can put the corners on them, and we go like that. So basically, once I've got the sizes down, I tell them, it's like, okay, so I have multiple finishes. Hopefully I showed them this ahead of time, but I explained to them that our basic finish is a super high quality photographic print. It's coated with a UV protective. It will last 75 years, and it's mounted and ready for framing. The next step up from that is going to be a metal print, and typically in the sales room, I will tap on the wall, and then I will grab a metal print and I will stick it in their hands. I like them to feel the stuff, and so they're really like the metal prints. And then I tell them, and of course you also have your classic canvas, and I will talk to them and figure out which finish that they want to go with their portraits. And so once Mama decides on a finish, it's like, okay, well, we've got the wall taken care of, so now we need to talk about the book. And I tell them that my books come in 4 different sizes. I have a 4x10, which is cute. It opens to 8x10. I have an 8x8. This is our medium. It opens to 8x16. The 10x10. And then we have the larger 12x12. And I always tell them, it's like, I can tell you pretty much everybody buys one of the two in the middle. So do you know what everyone is going to do? Buy one of the two in the middle automatically. So once they have the album done, I'm going to go through and start picking out the album poses with them. Once we have that, we can then go back to all of their images, and we can pick out the gift prints, 8x10s and 5x7. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm showing them on my laptop. I'm actually entering them straight into Studio Plus on my desktop computer that's sitting right beside me. So if we want to talk about composites for Grandma, we can click on Layouts, and we can get this right here. And so, Grandma would love this. Why don't we start with like this awesome balloon shot as a background image? And then we can start pulling in other images on top of this. And while you're in there, you can hit the Alt or the Option button, and you can actually move them around inside the little squares. So we can put this together and get Grandma a really nice composite going, something like that as well. So basically, that's pretty much how I do it, summarized rather quickly, is it's just like the process whenever they're in the sales room, except they're looking at it on their desktop or their laptop at home. And I've had great luck with it so far. And I send everybody home with a price list, so they already have those prices. I don't talk about prices at all while I'm selling. If they've got the price list in front of them. If they have a question, it's right there. If they ask me a question, I'll answer it, but I'm never going to bring up price to them at all. We're going to talk about what you want, and we're not going to worry about what it costs. So once we get it all done, I work discounts in, like if they buy on their wall portraits with me, if they buy 2 wall portraits, they get a 10% discount on the wall portraits. If they buy 3, they're going to get a 15%. If they buy 4 or more, they're going to get a 20% discount on their wall portraits. So I'll factor all those in as we're rolling along and I'm putting it into the system. And we get down to the end after we've sold all the different products. And it's like, okay, I think we've pretty much got you wrapped up. So how did you want to cover your balance today? And they'll usually tell me card, and sometimes they'll be like, okay, how much did I spend? And and I'll tell them just flat out. And like my one today, those 44 something, I just told them, I was like, oh, this is a really good order, but you didn't go crazy, you didn't break any records. And that usually makes them feel a little bit better. So that's basically my sales process that I go through right there. One other thing that I can do is, since I'm on my laptop, if I want to show them something that's on the wall, I can easily just grab my laptop and turn it around and actually let them see the things on the wall or any of the products. So I like to actually work from my laptop instead of a desktop for that. I've been known to walk out into the front gallery with my laptop and spin it around and highlight things that are on the wall for them. So it works really, really well to be able to do. And like I said, it's just like they are here, except they're not. A couple of points that I want to reiterate. So I will not do a remote session without a room view, because they're looking at it on a laptop typically and they have no sense of scale. So having that room view is going to give them a sense of scale and size. And so it is an essential part. If they don't send in a room view, I'm going to reschedule them. I will not do a remote session without their room view. So that's an important part. The more you can prep them ahead of time, the smoother this process is going to go. So I hope that works out for you guys and helps you with some information. So whenever I'm done, I can click on right here. I have a button that says stop share, and that's going to turn off my desktop. And so now all he sees is me again. Hello. And I'll take their credit card information, or they can mail me or drop a check in through the front slot, or however they want to do it. So that's pretty much my process, guys, on how I go through this and how I'm doing my remote sales. So I've had several grad card only sales, but those are usually pretty small, like a couple of $100s. But I had a great senior sale on Tuesday. I had a great senior sale today, and I have one scheduled tomorrow as well. So even though I'm shut down, I'm having $3,000 and $4,000 days, which is less than normal, but I've still got some income coming in while we're going through all this. I'll do this exact same process whenever I have out of town families or something like that as well. Around, especially around holidays, you do large families, and some of them live in, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Some of them are in Dallas and everything like that. So we will set up remote sales sessions with them and be able to do it for them. And again, I require their room view to be able to do it. So, okay, I hope that helps you guys out. And Fonzie, I appreciate you're playing the role of dad today. So yeah, well, I'm looking a little rough today too. So yeah. So anyway, thank you guys. I hope this helps. Fonzie, thank you. So once I'm done, I can click on end meeting, and it's going to ask me to end meeting for all. And boom, Fonzie is now cut off, and I can go ahead and wrap up my paperwork and everything like that at this point without the client on. So that's my process for selling remotely, guys. I hope it helps you. Thanks. Bye.